What's up, Open? Welcome back to another Ed and Lena video.
Wow.
Alright, guys. What's up? Welcome back, L fam. If you were here last week, you guys know what we're doing. We did part 1 of our marriage advice video, and now we're giving you part
2.
That looked like 4.
2.
Part 2 of our marriage advice that we had. So we've been together for 8 years, almost, right?
Almost 8 years.
We've almost been married for 5 years. So we've gone through, the little cute honeymoon stage, and we've made it through to this far. So we wanted to give you our advice on how to make it through as well in your marriage. If you haven't already checked out the other video, I would suggest watching that one first and then coming back to meet us here. But for the rest of you, let's go. The first one that we have today is love languages. We didn't talk about it last time. I kind of felt like it should have been a part of last week's, but that's okay. We're still talking about it.
Yeah.
It's so very important to know your love languages. There are 5 different love languages. There's a book about it as well. But there's a test you can take to figure out what your love language is, because your spouse and you might have completely different love languages, and you might not be able to show that person love and them receive it if you don't know their love language. So for me, my love language is words of affirmation. That's my top one. And so, Ed's love language is
everything except gifts.
He literally is the most complicated person in the world. He has a bunch of love languages.
It's about balance, guys.
Well, so that means you have 4, right?
They were like 3 tied, and the other one was like a point less. And then gifts was like.
So tell them what your love languages. Your love languages are.
Quality time. Was quality time and acts of service, I think, were first. And then words of affirmation came afterwards, and physical touch. And then those are it, because I don't need to get gifts.
So those are his love languages. So in order for him to receive love, he would receive it in those ways.
Yes, and I need each and every one of those ways to be reflected in order to be whole.
He's very complicated. So know your spouse's love languages. That's very, very important. The next one, number 7, is establish a weekly date and daily time together.
Yes.
So, you want to talk about that one?
So that's a big deal. I think that's a really, really big deal. Is on a daily basis, we need to make sure that we separate some time for our significant other. In our case, we have all of our meals essentially together, maybe with the exception of breakfast can be a little tricky.
Yeah.
But if we're here, we have lunch together. And we always have dinner. If we are eating a snack at night, we'll usually snack together.
Yeah.
We always spend quality time together.
We like to go on walks together too.
So even if it's just a half an hour at the end of your day, make sure that you separate that quality time where it's just you and your significant other, and you have their undivided attention, they have your undivided attention. Ideally no phones. It could be, doesn't matter where, but to have that quality time to look forward to, I think is really important.
Exactly.
And of course, date nights are super important. In our case, we try to do every Friday night. Sometimes we'll do Saturday night instead, but I think in general we try to keep the weekend somewhat open for each other, and we make sure that we do at least once a week have a time that we do something just a little different out of the ordinary, where we're spending quality time with each other, we're having a good time, and we each know that this time is about you and I.
Exactly. And the next one is budget. Financial meetings as well.
Yes.
So this is his favorite thing, but it's very important to have a budget. A lot of times, and you'll hear this around a lot, but a lot of times the cause of a separation or a divorce in a marriage is finances. It's disagreements with finances, is financial debt, things like that. And so that's why it's so important to be on the same page. And when you have a budget, you can be on the same page. And another thing we said in this point is financial meetings. That's also very important.
Just jumping into that point, you want the budget, whoever's writing the budget is fine if one person is more inclined to write the budget, but it's super important that both of you have input in the budget. So just because I write the budget in our home doesn't mean I get to make all of our decisions. Those decisions, every financial decision in our home is made together. I mean, in our case, it's to the point of even if you're going to switch jobs, we do that together. If we're going to buy a house, or we're going to buy a car, or we're going to buy clothes in a specific month, we do that together because we assign.
Yeah, there's not a his money or my money, it's an our money situation. We do everything together.
Yes.
That's really great marriage advice for you guys out there.
And it's
make
biblical.
sure that you guys, and it's biblical,
The Bible does talk about being one flesh, and Why would we be two individual people when it comes to our finances? We're stronger when we're together, when the funds are together.
Yeah, exactly.
So everything that we do is budgeted, is planned, and we do it together.
Yes. Okay. The next thing is to establish relationship priority order.
So super, super, super important. So this is why sometimes you see, let's say you have the empty nest syndrome, where you have older couples who their kids have left the nest. They've graduated, they've gone on to college, and now they don't know what to do with themselves. Because they realize,
many times, that happens.
They realize that for 18 years, they focused their marriage on their children, and now they become roommates. They have nothing in common, and they don't know what to do. So at that point, they divorce. It's really sad. As Christians, right? So we're gonna speak about this from the Christian perspective. As Christians, there's an order to our life and to how we prioritize our relationships. So that first relationship is our relationship with God, first and foremost. In order for anything, as Christians, we believe that in order for anything to work in our lives, our relationship with God is key.
And can I stop you there real quick?
Yeah.
Because we just came from a marriage conference, which is very timely for this message that we're doing with you guys. We just came from a marriage conference, and they talked about there being 3 people in a relationship, which is you, the Lord, and your spouse. And how a lot of times we go to each other, and we're wanting this person to give, and to fill us up. But in reality, what we should be doing is we should be coming already full of the Holy Spirit, of the Lord, like of God filling us into that relationship, and not looking for man or your significant other to fulfill or to fill you up. So I think that that's something that's really important in what we're talking about here.
Yes. So first and foremost, our relationship with God, right? Second is our relationship with our spouse, right? So we don't have children yet, but the day one day we'll have children, and God willing, one day we'll have children, and at some point those children are going to leave. They're going to go on and they're going to make lives of their own with their own families. We have each other. So that second priority is our marriage.
Exactly.
That's why it's so important not to devote every single aspect of our life to our children. It's important that we give to our spouse.
And you know what? Your children will benefit from your marriage being on point too. When you treat your husband the way that God says you're supposed to treat him, and when he treats you the way that God says he's supposed to treat you, which means that you're taking that time for each other, and you're growing your relationship together. That your children see what a godly marriage is supposed to be like.
Yes.
And that's so important as well. So doing it in that order, God first, then your marriage, then then your children, and then work and other things like that. When you do it in that order, they all benefit each other.
Yeah.
God benefits you, your marriage, and your marriage benefits your children, and then from then on. So it just falls into place in order. That's the natural order that
and
it's supposed to be in.
Yeah, and it's important to point out, children tend to look for people that are like their parents to an extent. So making sure that we provide that example, super important. B, yes, prioritizing your marriage to an extent, right? To an extent, prioritizing your marriage is more important than your job, right? Another thing to keep in mind for all our Christian friends, our relationship with God does not equal ministry.
Yeah.
Okay? That is separate, all on its own. I'm talking about just that time of prayer.
That personal time in the morning that you have with the Lord, or whenever you have it. That's what we're talking about.
And making sure that we're constantly being filled by the Holy Spirit, and that we're constantly seeking the Holy Spirit. That's priority number 1. Ministry is separate, and it is below your household. It's below your wife. It's below your kids. So that's something to always keep in mind. Yeah.
And our last tip, you guys made it this far. Hold on, we're almost done. Our last tip is to be quick to forgive. And this is a very, very important point. A lot of times in marriages where we hold grudges, or for some of us, I know I'm one of these people, like sometimes I hold things in, and then it piles up and stuff like that, and then you just go into like red face mode like afterwards. So it's very important that you forgive each other in that moment. And one of the reasons for that, which we learned at the marriage conference, and we're so excited that we went because now we can share this with you guys, is that when you two are separated, which is God is telling me something. When you two are separated, when you two are upset with each other, you're allowing the enemy to come in and cause issues within your life, within your marriage, things like that, to drive a wedge even further between you. So it's just so important to just forgive and pray with each other when you're having an argument, when you're going through something.
And to be quick to apologize. Be quick to forgive. Also be quick to apologize. There are times, you know it when you mess up. You know it. And don't be prideful. Don't hold it in. It doesn't solve anything. All it does is create lingering problems. and those problems they snowball. You know, and they continue to snowball, and then when you'll look back in 10 years and you're carrying the same problems from the first 2 weeks of your relationship. And that's not how God intends for us to live.
And if you think about it, if you don't talk about it, if you don't address some of those issues, like you said, it's something that you'll have to deal with later on.
You lose focus if you can't move past issues in your life, and it'll divide both of you. And so you don't want to let that happen. There's no need for that.
All right, guys, that was all of our marriage advice.
Woo!
Part 2. Go ahead and don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow us on Instagram.
She remembered.
If you haven't already. Let us know down below what you got out of this video, what your favorite tip was, what you didn't know. And if you haven't checked out our first video on marriage advice, go ahead and check that out too, because there's some really good stuff in there.
Also, if you'd like us to go into further details about any of these topics, let us know. Kind of consider doing an independent video on each of these.
Like a whole series on it.
Yeah, so we want to know if you guys are interested. And also any other advice type videos, or anything fun as well.
Yeah.
Let us know.
I mean, not only that, but if you'd like us to do a Q&A on our Instagram, go ahead and get this video up to 50 likes, and we'll get that for you.
Sounds good.
All right, guys.
50.
50.
Get it up to 200. 200 likes.
We're introverts, as you can see. 200 likes, and then we'll do a Q&A where you can ask us anything. Keep your Christian hats on. All right, guys. It was so nice talking to you. We hope you guys got something very helpful out of this. And we will see you next time.
Bye, guys.